Hello, everyone. Welcome to Meticulous Talks on May 29th. I am Cursed Chords.
I'm Hifrock.
We have news to discuss this week, Hithrock.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, somewhat unexpectedly, we have information about Set 13.
Ooh.
Hmm. Uh, this is a relatively short gap between sets, at least compared to what we've seen before. Well, I guess we don't know when the set's coming yet, but relatively short gap between news about sets. I feel like it was only relatively like mid to late through last year that we released New Dawn.
I think it was in November, October, somewhere around that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a relatively short gap. It's a high GP, by the way, in the chat. I not unexpected per se, somewhat unexpected that we had as much details as we did. Because it was quite a fruitful stream that Sim had just last week. We have a name, we have a bunch of mechanical details. We had, I want to say either 10 or 11 spoilers that were dropped.
We also
One,
had exact amount of Trixies.
yes, well, a preliminary number. But yeah, shall be kind of covering all the details that have been released thus far. So, first off, we know the name of the set is going to be Fond Memories, which is an interesting name. Kind of implies that the set is going to be sort of I don't want to say a greatest hits per se, but something similar. Um, Particularly notable moments from across the whole running of the show.
Makes sense.
And then what else? Okay, so then the next major question that got asked and answered on the sim stream was about the number of mains, which is 4 asterisk. We'll get to that. We saw all of them in the stream, which honestly I was a little surprised by that because I saw Cadence, Celestia, Luna. I assumed, okay, you're doing the princesses. There are 4 princesses. Where's the Twilight main? But I
Starlight
guess,
is a princess.
wait, is that true?
No,
No, yeah.
but it's a running joke about her getting wings at some point.
I see. Fair enough. I mean, Twilight has enough mains already. Fair point. Um, but not that Luna doesn't already have enough mains either. But anyway.
I know someone who needs more mains.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Trixie. She has only one main that's like very close to 0.
Hmm?
So it needs to be more than 1.
So what you're saying is we're at 149 Trixies now?
Yeah, I mean, Starlight was originally Trixie. Does that count as like removing Trixie?
I
Well,
guess
either
so.
way.
Yeah. Okay, so there was a question about resource removal, colors other than purple and yellow. I was particularly intrigued by the mention of a pink card, a partial pink card with resource removal that is not paired with purple or yellow, which begs the question of which color it is paired with. Let's say probably, I'm going to guess white. White can remove resources.
Usually not easily, though.
Not easily, but it can be done.
Like, is Petit Sneeze the only thing we have right now? I think there
Uh,
was something else.
well, there's the resource belly flop,
Ah, yeah, that's right. That's the one I'm thinking of.
and then petite sneeze.
Mm.
So that could be something. And in particular, I guess the next one on down the list is the new keywords. Uh, we know there's going to be at least three of them. We see one of them later in the cards that were spoiled. Um, Eager, and we know one of them will be about power, one of them will be about resources, one of them will be about location. I assume Eager was the one that was about location because it specifically calls out you need to have a friend with it at home. The one about resources is interesting to me because I don't think we've had a keyword that cares about resources before.
No, don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have many keywords that care about card types in general, right? Like, I mean, except friends, I guess. A lot of keywords care about friends specifically, like teamwork,
Hmm.
but most of them don't usually. Like, there's no troublemaker specific keyword, right? Except villain. But villain is not, like, it's technically not troublemaker specific. You can technically have it. Oh, no, no, other cards can't uncover. Never mind. So villain would be the troublemaker specific keyword.
Hmm.
But still, it's like very specific
And
keyword.
talented is a key phrase, right? Not a keyword.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like chaos.
Right. Yeah. So I don't. I'm very interested to see what exactly that's going to be. Whether it's going to be like it could be about accessories, possibly. A keyword that on a friend that likes to have resources attached to it, or something that keys off of the number of resources you have in play. Maybe either way. I mean, those are both cards that would go in white, presumably.
Yeah, but like that wouldn't be the first time we get a keyword that's color specific. Like agile was originally just blue and yellow, right? And
Uh,
pink.
and pink. Yeah.
And like Shelby is not as exclusively white anymore, but pretty much white.
Right. It's a primary white, just like all the primary color keywords.
Yeah.
And then the other one, the one about power, well, there are lots of ways to do that. We've had a number of keywords that work like that. Well, care about power before.
hmm
So
I want teamwork, but for resources.
I wonder why. Legitimately, I'm not being sarcastic.
Uh, you can do many fun things like with Chrysalis
Hmm. So sorry,
because
you're saying that you want a like a friend that can gain a resources benefits, or
no, like even teamwork that's like specifically resource, like it's on a resource and it shares like its things to resources.
okay,
You can do some funky stuff with Chrysalis because you can make some resources have abilities of friends and things like that. Or maybe not, but like I'm pretty sure there's something to break there.
right, and that's probably exactly the reason why it'll never happen.
I just want to have fun with double exclamation points on both sides.
Okay, so then after that, there was a question about the design goals for the set, which you know, the point of revisiting stuff from older episodes. There, that comes from the name of the set. But the idea about potentially supporting some underutilized archetypes is interesting. Uh, Farm in colors that haven't already been able to do it. The support for, well, specifically the Griffins, Changelings, and Dragon tribes, which didn't see much of any use. in the Friends Forever meta, I don't think.
Yeah,
So that's appreciated.
I think one thing about like Friends Forever doing tribes thing is that it didn't really continue, right? So like the only thing about tribe synergy that is supported is only like within that set. And because like Pegasi were really good just within that set, that's the tribe that ended up being popular, and the rest of them are not so much.
Yeah, fairly so. I mean, unicorns get played, but usually not for any unicorn synergy specifically.
Yeah.
Um, kind of similar thing goes for Earth ponies. But yeah, I there was lots of potential in all three of those Griffins, Earth ponies, Griffins, dragons, and changelings in that set. Lots of cool ideas. Um, so it'd be yeah, I'd love to see where exactly they can go with it, and some really cool mains that went along with them as well. Gallus and Ocellus for sure. Smolder perhaps a little bit less so, but
Mm-hmm.
nice to see them get a little bit more support perhaps. Let's see what else. So each of the set designers called out one particular card, which are their favorites in the upcoming set. We don't know anything except for names, and these are playtest names, so
Mm-hmm.
mean not a whole lot. Um, although we can take guesses based on the players and people who made the names. Um, Grandpa's mentioning Gala Ticket, which kind of sounds like a resource to me. Maybe I don't know.
Could be.
Ivory's choice of Day Glider is clearly a reference to Night Glider in some shape or form. And we know Ivory likes to play aggro, you right? I think so.
Uh, I've seen him play other decks, but maybe yeah.
Cheeses to the dungeon sure sounds like removal to me. Relatively permanent removal, probably.
Yeah,
And Ara's choice of Run and Hide, I'm not too sure on that one.
probably something pink.
I mean, yeah, that sounds like a fair choice. Yeah, a pink guy. Yeah, and then there was the mention of support for Poppy, which that's kind of a thing that happens in every set. There's usually at least one card that's got the word random in it. We see one coming up later in the spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
That there is going to be a villain is pretty big. Well, I mean, we had a villain last set. There's usually one villain per set.
I didn't think we did have like. I think Grogger was the last villain, right?
That's right. Legion of Doom wasn't a villain.
Yeah, it's still a very powerful card, but it's not
Yeah.
a villain.
Okay, so it is actually somewhat exceptional then that we've got one.
Yeah, I think that'll be the second villain in core we have right now. Like, there's
Uh,
only Grogger at this
yeah, I
point.
guess so. And it's the pretty much the whole gamut of the show to pick from on what exactly. I'm gonna say I'll betcha it's a Nightmare Moon.
Why?
Because well, I mean her card got banned, so we don't have a Nightmare Moon villain legal to play with, and it's an iconic card. Oh, fond memories. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where you're going. Uh, yeah, we don't really have like an iconic villain which doesn't really have a card, right? I mean, unless you count like Cozy. But she's not as iconic as Nightmare Moon, just mostly because she wasn't around as long.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Fair point. Fair point.
Righty. And I guess just to round us out here, there was a point made about white aggro. To look forward to a particular card that's going to really help that out. Tantalizing, pretty vague. And then a point made specifically about the problems, which we'll get to those. That there's going to be two cycles of problems. One using the color plus not color pattern. One using the not color plus wild pattern, which we'll perhaps get a bit more into that when we get to those particular spoilers. And then
I hope those cards have black background. Like, like they did in Premiere.
oh, like that. I
Yeah, the
mean,
text background.
right. Uh, Could be interesting. I mean, the spoilers we saw didn't, but
Yeah, but they're playtest cards.
it's true. It's true. Could be an interesting throwback. And then two other problems, presumably the colorless entries, given that neither of the two spoiler problems we saw were starting problems. So, yeah, the cycle of problems presumably won't be starting problems, and these two colorless ones.
Yeah, but not necessarily color entries, right?
Right.
It could be something like under the lock and tree.
And then, well, yeah, the two remaining points were that first of all, this is all still preliminary. Uh, Mechanical design hasn't been fully locked down yet. Everything that we're going to see today could, in theory, change. But that things are moving along at a good pace, and once the current wave of testing is finished, there will be a round of open testing, similar to what happened at the end of uh, Dawn development. This time, much earlier along in the process.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm actually going to take part in that or not.
Why not? Do you want to be blind, or
Yeah, I kind of like the
it's gonna
idea
be
of
really hard?
having fresh reactions to the finished designs. But at the same token, even among the 10 cards we already know, some of them are really interesting. I really want a chance to play with them.
So the thing about going blind, like I don't know how spoilers will work even when the set is half released.
Mhm.
Like the thing about open testing, that to some extent it is a release of a set, right? You get to see all the cards. They might change, but like probably won't be drastic changes, right? So like the line between the actual set release and the set not being, like, it's very blurry, right? Because the set will be fully released whenever Sim says so, right? But otherwise, there's no other like there's no other threshold which makes, like, before the set release was marked by, like, okay, we get to see all of the cars, right? But
Hmm.
now that's not the line.
Right.
So I'm not sure what open testing means for spoiler season, because what's the point of spoilers when everybody saw everything,
Right.
unless you're going blinded? But like,
It would, only be the flavor. It'd be the only thing that
yes.
gets markedly changed in the testing. So that's a fair point. I suppose that then that's what we look forward to. The day when everything opens up for the beta, I guess.
We can make our own spoilers, like take a card every week from the set and like talk about it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Highlight different things every so often.
Yeah.
Right. So speaking of, um, let's get to the actual spoilers that we had that were unexpected. As I say, a- I think it's like 10 cards, maybe 11. There was one that got dropped in Discord a couple days ago. Actually, was it just last night?
Yep.
Yeah. That's how you know that you're in spoiler season. When you've got the stream slides all ready to go, and then someone drops a spoiler like last minute. Yeah. So anyway, the first one that showed up was, well, not really a spoiler. The Starlight main,
Trixie main.
the
Go
limited
on.
main. Who, well, she is going to be constructed legal, so technically part of the set. Not that you would ever. Well, I don't want to say ever. Well, no. There
I mean,
are,
just use student 6.
yeah, there are better choices than her for every color if we're in constructed. Um, so you would only run it as a personal challenge, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't see much reason to run her in. I mean, okay, so like the only situation where I can imagine someone using her is when you can't use main 6 because you have to flip like turn 1, right?
Hmm.
And your deck color changes during sideboarding. Like when seeing opponent's main affects what initial color you want to pick.
Right.
Or initial hand you draw, like it affects it very much. And you're also, well, I guess you still get the color with the student 6. But the flipping is a little, so it's like it's really reaching. I don't think constructed will ever use this main, so it's not a big deal that it is available to constructed. I don't know.
Yeah.
It does let you select a trait though, which might be fun in Harmony.
Hmm. Could be interesting.
Unfortunately, the trait is now restricted. It used to not be.
Oh,
That was fun.
oh, you could. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like we were playing with this main in our drafts for a little bit. Actually, like we played with several iterations, right? We played first with that Trixie main, linked in chat, uh, which was a lot harsher, right? She exhausted when you flipped her, and then Ara added that you could like have any trait, you name any trait, and that card is that trait, and that posed really like a lot of interesting questions, like can I like name a trait that is like the entirety of script of B moving? Technically, you can, right? And what it means if you like name a dilemma, like if a main is a dilemma, what does that mean? And it was like really weird to say like, oh, name any trait except dilemma and so on, right? So now it's limited to just these, which makes it less fun for me.
True. But yeah, I think. Well, I mean, she's going to serve her purpose of being a dependable, reliable, limited main.
Mm-hmm.
And for what it's worth, is very much in flavor as the blandest, most tasteless card that's ever been printed.
Yeah, the flavor is good. Oh, I guess one reason you would use it in constructed is when you need a specific trait in a specific color. Like, oh, I really want a pink dragon main
Hmm.
for like some reason, you know,
No, that's a fair point. Fair point.
or a pink griffin. I don't think we have a pink griffin main, right? So
We
now you
do
can have it.
not. Yes.
Is it worth giving up like a main ability? I don't know, but it's an option now, and that's great.
That is true. Yeah. On the subject of pink mains. On to the real ones. Uh, we have here Princess Cadence. Uh, Normal main abilities, home limit 2, the start side, which is pretty important given the way she works. At the end of your turn, if you have friends at home in excess of your home limit, then you get to put any number of what you want back into your hand to flip her over. And on her boosted side, if you play 2 friends per turn, you either get to put a +1 power counter on one of them, well, on the second one that you played, and another friend, or draw a card. So a very interesting main. I spent some time before the stream looking at um, pink friends with relatively low rec that you would want to play to your home at the start of the game. Which, I mean, you start this main off with Buckball, presumably, so you can go up to 2 rec. There still aren't that many that would necessarily work. You need to have 3 friends at home to flip her over.
Hmm.
Which means either you want to generate tokens, which aren't there still aren't that many pink cards that can generate a lot of Earth Pony tokens for low cost and low rec.
Uh, I mean, Pink has a lot of cheap friends like Patimer.
Right, but the thing is, like, say Silverstream is one that comes up. The 1 cost 1 rec Silverstream, cheap, yes, but useless when played at home. You really want to play her to a problem. Um,
Yeah, but like, do you really want to flip ASAP?
well, that's the fair
Like,
question. Yeah.
if your game plan is like revolves around having cheap friends that you can play early, well, once you play those friends, like the wreck is not as needed anymore, right? Because you already have pink from them.
Hmm.
So, like the question here to ask: can you afford to, you know, wait until a double face-off happens and now all of your stuff is at home, which then like becomes no problem to flip the main? Is this main really that different from at the start of the problem face-off, flip this card? Or at the end of a problem face off, I suppose. Like it's not that different. Like yeah, there's a little more work you have to do. You have to actually play some things, and you have to play more than 2. But still, I think it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that is the general direction to take it in. That, yeah, you just kind of play normally, still use Buckball so that you can work with a 2 power main to be able to play stuff early. But then, yes, after the DFO, um, friends go home and you get your main flipped over, and you would preferably want to have friends that have enter the board effects so that you can take best advantage of, or well, either enter the board effects or be cheap so you can take best advantage of
Hmm.
them going back to your hand. And then once the main is flipped over, you want to have cheap friends because you want to be playing 2 every turn.
Yeah, and drawing a card really helps you not running out of them. To not run out of them.
Hmm. Yeah, so it all kind of makes sense.
Like if you're playing 2 cards per turn, but you draw 1 card, that's like playing 1 card per turn. Unless you run out of your deck, then
Right.
it's different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're drawing, start a turn draw, and then again, so actually you're holding position on your hand
Yeah,
size.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
I compare, like no, you draw the card at the start of the turn normally, so I
Right.
don't really account
Okay.
for that.
That's fair. Yeah. So she's a pretty straightforward baseline pink main. Uh, I don't want to say middle of the road per se, but she supports you playing friends. Hey, that's pretty standard kind of mid-rangey style, probably.
Yeah,
Uh, Alrighty, yeah. So let's move on
Sure.
to the card that I'm both very happy and somewhat sad about. Only sad because I didn't get to spoil it. um, but Celestia, purple, 1 and 3, the usual. Well, home limit also a little weird, being 3 and 5. Don't get
It's
very many.
not the first time we see that, right?
Not the first time we've seen that, but not very often either. On our start
Fair.
side, at immediate speed, if you have 3 or more events in your discard pile, turn the card over. And on the boosted side, when you play an event, exhaust this card, search for a unicorn or an alicorn friend with power less than that event's power, reel it, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck, normal tutor stuff. So, Celestia main, which I've been asking for a very long time, in purple, my favorite color, and works
Mm-hmm.
very well with a deck that I am already enjoying playing very much. I have a hard time imagining a card that could be more like purpose built for me.
Tailored,
Yes,
made to fit.
that's it. I don't care about the rest of the spoilers. This is
All
my
right,
card.
that's the end of the stream. Bye.
And when this card rotates out of core, I guess I don't play core anymore.
Yeah, that's when you start pushing for adventure.
Yeah.
See, that's why I push for adventure, because Trixie main is there.
Yeah, fair point. But on a more serious note, with this main, I imagine you start infiltrating, so that way you can discard 2 events, and then the Changeling token gives you enough rec to play the 3rd event, and then you flip her over turn 2. And then from that point onwards, you're just, well, you're playing purple aggro, and then you can search for your most of the friends in that deck are unicorns and alicorns. Not all of them, and I don't think you would want all of them to be because Torque Wrench is just too good to not have. For one thing, at least.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a tutor. Like, they don't even half of your deck doesn't have to have all unicorns and alicorns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as long as you have stuff that you want to find, that's fine. Like, having more unicorns doesn't really increase consistency, right? It's just a question of like how when you will run out of them. In fact, having fewer unicorns might be better because there's a better chance that you will not draw them but find them.
A good point too. Yeah. Um, I just know that I'm looking forward to playing Legacy Leech and gaining 5 AT and finding the restricted section that turn and playing it. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, a lot of events have quite high power, so the like event power restriction isn't as big of a deal. Like Luna's Future is a very popular purple event, right? Has 5 power.
Mm-hmm.
You can find anything with that. I don't think there's a single in core, at least,
In core.
purple card with more than 5 power.
In core there's
Harmony,
nothing.
yeah. In Harmony, I don't think there's Twilight, but she's banned, right?
Or which Twilight?
The element of magic.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So I don't think there's a single purple card. Well, I guess if we're talking only about purple,
Mm-hmm.
but
Right.
I don't think there are unicorns that or alicorns that have more than. Why you can't? Oh, it says less than
Less
that
than.
power.
Oh, I see.
Okay, you
Okay.
play Makeover, all right?
I mean, there are any number of um, uh, 6 power and 7 power events out there.
Yeah, like it's not rare. And again, even if you don't find tricorns, you can find pretty much anything. There are very few cards that have such high power, especially when they're unicorns and alicorns. Like high power is usually orange thing, which doesn't have as many unicorns.
Yeah. But yeah, I and that deck probably cares less about the home limit 5, um, because you're
Really?
well, you generally have a relatively small number of very high power friends. Like it's going to be good, don't get me wrong, to be able to keep more like starlights that generate AT or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Um,
Like that's the problem I found with purple often is that okay, I have home limit of 4, but I want to keep this free AT gens and this really cool card I have, as well as some other things that help me do stuff. Like home limit of 5, I think is pretty good.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's the main reaction that I wanted to get out there on screen. Good card, love it. I'm not going to ask for another Celestia main for a very very long time,
Yeah, at least one set.
at least. Yes,
Okay, so Trixie main next, right?
not quite. Rounding out our trilogy of mains is our yellow Princess Luna.
Yana.
I was gonna make that. I was gonna make that joke, and it just slipped in my. Yes.
Okay, so this is Princess Yana, double your fun.
Yeah. Yes. Normal home limits 3 and 4, the usual. Um, when you flip a card with 3 or less printed power for a face-off, turn it over, and then on the boosted side, you flip a card with 3 or less printed power for a face-off, double it as long as it remains flipped. Probably the most interesting of all the 3 of them, I'm going to say, because I'm not immediately sure how you make best use of it. Like general purpose mains that care about starting face-offs as soon as possible always means farm, usually, always usual.
Yeah.
Um, which okay, fair enough. Um, but you can't do the usual farming thing of a deck that's got almost no friends in it because you're not gonna be taking advantage of your main's ability then. I mean, I suppose
Yeah.
you could do that if you wanted to, but wouldn't be the right way to use her, I guess.
The way I see this card is that it's extremely similar to Rainbow Dash from Defenders, right? Like it is pretty much exactly the same effect, but with a restriction on top. Because Rainbow Dash adds 2 to all of your flips, right?
Hmm.
This one doubles it, but like 3 or less. So like if it's a 1, you get +1. If it's a 2, you get +2, the same as Rainbow Dash. And only when it's a 3, you get +3, which is a little bit better than Rainbow Dash, but for the rest of the flips, you don't get anything.
Right. So if your deck is evenly split between 1s, 2s, and 3s, it's actually exactly the same text
Yes,
on
it's
average.
yeah, except it's yellow. And like that's like that was like one of the main weaknesses of yellow, right? Like yellow was really good at being fast and confronting problems and things like that and scoring additional points like Bunny or Kratos, if you remember that card.
Hmm.
uh, but yellow was never really good at winning face-offs, right? Because a lot of
It
like
yeah. It
the
it, it
ways
mhm.
yeah.
Yellow had explicit synergy with losing face-offs. Actually,
Yes, I remember Noah. Yeah, that's the thing, right? So like yellow was never in, like with Fluttershy main, the nurturing nature, that was even more apparent, right? Because she was confronting problems, but she was never involved in face-offs because she usually sits around at home. And this main is different. This main tries to change that.
yeah. Which
It's like, oh, you have all these low power cards. Well, now they're high power cards.
at least in terms of face-off flips.
Yeah. Is it good? I don't know. Like Rainbow Dash Wonderbolt very rarely sees play, right? It's not quite as commonly used.
Right.
But
But
like, but
she,
Blue has an easier time winning face-offs.
that's a fair point, yes. But she does see some play. And it's
Mm-hmm.
probably good to say that yellow,
Yeah, yellow doesn't need any more like
yeah,
really good mains.
yellow, yellow's aggro time is kind of. I don't want to say it's run its course per se, but like it was time to take yellow in a different direction, probably. Um, because we have enough
Mhm.
good yellow aggro cards.
We need the yellow control main.
Has
Remember yellow control, yellow white control. I remember.
Oh, right. I was gonna I was gonna like I think about yellow control. I think of Zipper Will actually, but
Oh yeah, that's also a thing. Yeah, yellow purple control. Remember that? I mean, yeah. I mean, Alicorn deck, which is not really aggro, like it's mid rangey, is also yellow purple, but not really control. But yeah, Zipperl was a really cool card, and Bedtime was also really cool.
hmm,
Like those two cards really allowed yellow to be in control colors, and I actually really liked that. Like yellow white was this weird color combination, right? Which can go either way. You can both play, at least in like old core. You can either play control with it, trying like to do a bunch of bounces, bedtime, like other things that white and yellow have, right?
hmm.
Or you could go totally aggro with like Kratos and maybe Dance Fever even.
And yeah, like Octavia probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
So I we'll see. There's a lot of possibilities here, and as happened with yellow aggro in the past, maybe it'll take a couple of sets for before people really pick it up and run with it. But
Yeah. So Grimpus mentions that you can totally play control with this. I'm not convinced because control usually involves tricks. It's really rare you see a proactive control, right? And tricks are usually events. They're rarely low power friends or other cards, and events usually have more than 3 power.
yeah, it's fair to say, and yeah, GP mentions this that over the course of the last few sets, the power curve of events has been going down pretty significantly.
Okay, but like even then, if you have disruptive events, what do you gain from this main's ability? A chance to maybe win a face-off? Like I don't know. It's really I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for.
Underwhelming.
Not straight. No, not underwhelming.
Oh, okay.
It's not straightforward.
Hmm.
Like the I don't think this main is really like the boosted ability is really productive to a control play. But we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
GP giving us some suggestions
Some
in
cards,
the chat.
yes. I mean, when open testing hits,
Yeah.
I'll gladly play against a deck that uses this main to control. Like prove me wrong. I'll be glad to be proven wrong. I would love to see some yellow control. If this main it does really like can do really well in yellow control, sure, it's great.
See. Those are the four cards with proper art. All the rest of them are all going to be placeholders, usual testing style. But we got used to that last set.
Mm-hmm.
We started with a set of cards that was kind of meant to illustrate the support for the other tribes, for the griffins, the dragons, and the changelings. And so started with every Burby move here. 2 cost, 2 Rex, 2 powers, blue and pink, which says that when this card or another one of your griffin friends card itself being a griffin, enters play at a problem. If you have no other characters there, you may move one of your griffin characters to that problem. So, well geared to the after double face off turn, where everything's at home, and
Yeah.
you get to, well, kind of play a Bluna if you like, play a friend and then move a character there. And if your main actually is Bluna, then we're there too,
Yeah.
which is pretty good. Blue, pink being the two colors that are well known for doing that kind of thing.
This card lets you do Balloona shenanigans without having Balloona, which is pretty cool. I don't know if anyone else shares this sentiment, but like I actually miss like Balloona in core. I think it was a fun card, and like it was always interesting what kind of like shenanigans can you pull off for like, oh, I have free AT and no characters anywhere, but maybe I can double face off this turn.
True.
Like
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that deck, and I actually enjoyed playing with that deck and against that deck. And I played against that deck a lot because like one of my locals plays Hot Wings, still plays it.
Yeah. Now the thing that I always like to keep in mind when I'm looking at any Griffin friends is that there is the Griffin from Friend Forever, the Gilda, that reduces your first Griffin friend by 1 each turn.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that hypothetical scenario, this could, in theory, start out as a 1-cost friend, which is, yeah, 1 cost, 2 power, move a friend. That's extremely good value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, by itself, it's like 180 cheaper than just playing a loyal pony, right?
Hmm.
I think the real value of this card comes from playing hasty griffins, like you would with Bluna.
Yeah. Which there are a
And,
number of hasty griffins, right?
yeah, there are a number of hasty griffins, and like your example with Gilda, like still works because that hasty griffin will also cost 1 less. So yeah, cool card. I want to see more shenanigans in blue pink.
Blue pink got a lot of really good cards. Like, last set there was that Gallus and
Mm-hmm.
Crown of Grover as well. Both pretty really good
Yeah,
cards. Like, I don't think either one really saw much play, but they're still there.
yeah, and we still have like a bunch of good pink blue cards like Angel Wings. So maybe that deck will rise up again.
Getting about time for it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we had our dragon representative, Big Bully, we call it. 3 cost, 3 power and wreck in orange and purple, which says that during a face-off involving at least one of your dragon characters, if you have more power in the face-off than an opponent, that opponent flips 1 pure cards face-off. Which it's in the wrong colors, but I
Yeah, it
must.
feels like yellow, right?
Well, I mean, I was gonna say that the obvious synergy here is with blue Ember,
Oh,
who is just gonna be a dragon in all the face-offs.
oh, but you have a Spike.
It's true. Spike also works.
I mean, he's only for troublemakers, but that was the primary use of Ember anyway.
I mean, well, orange, purple, blue are the colors for Tricorn Ember.
Yes.
Um, and so I think it would be kind of cool if this card was also an Ember, and so it's just Ember dot deck. Um,
Yeah.
which notably, Tricorn Ember does synergize really well with that because she says that your friends involved in face-offs can't be frightened or dismissed. So, like blue Ember jumps into the face-off, and the opponent can't do anything to get her out of the face-off. And they would have to do something to this card, presumably, if they wanted to flip a card.
Yeah, but they would have to do that like before the flip. I don't know. But yeah, it'd be cool if it was Ember.deck. I would appreciate that.
But anyway, yes, the synergy with Spike that was called out during Sim stream and makes a lot of sense. And the function is very straightforward as well. That if you are ahead in the face-off at all, you are basically, well, not necessarily, but taking a big step towards guaranteeing that you're going to win it.
Yeah. And like, even if you don't have any, like, even if you're equal on power, that's still probably win, right? Because you're not gonna flip a 0, and you can still like gamble a little bit by starting face-offs where a little bit underpowered, relying on your flip.
Hmm?
And if you're like have troublemakers or things like that, it's a pretty easy win.
Yep. It's interesting that this it kind of does and kind of doesn't synergize with Smoldermane. Now, let me remember what her text is. She exhausts, and your opponent discards a card, and you add that power to one of your cards in the face-off, right?
Yes.
Right, which is good. But as usual, bad if she is in the face-off because you're losing her power.
Yeah, but like other than Stick, other face-offs where Smolder's power would be relevant. Also,
Yeah,
if they don't flip any card, like you can still, even with the exhausted main, you can still kind of
yeah.
rely on it.
The,
And if you
the
have Ember, you just I have another dragon.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. I in particular with the the not orange problem that we're gonna see coming up. I'm starting to think a little bit more about Smolder because I mean she was always a little bit goodish. I would kind of want to try her out again, in particular with the dragon synergy that we know is going to be in this set.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally among this particular little set of three was the Changeling card. 2 cost, 3 rec, 2 power, white and yellow. Eager, which we mentioned a little bit before, which says that at the start of your turn, once per turn, if you have a friend with Eager at home, you get to draw a card. The Changeling text being that when this or another one of your changing friends enters play, that friend gets +1 power until the end of the turn. A very Changeling-like piece of text. There are a lot of Changelings already that do something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
And changing friends you play can't be canceled. Chrysalis Main is the only card that can cancel friends, right?
Yeah, I think it's like the third cancel effect to have in the game,
Right.
and the other you're canceling events.
Events only, yes. So if this card is not a Thorax, then I don't think like there's been a mistake made in the flavoring, I think probably.
Yeah. No, it might be Trixie. Like when I look at it could be Trixie. Just like any other card.
Any other card? It's fair enough. Yes. That was the it was mentioned during the sim stream that these playtest placeholder images are kind of like the Rorschach tests. But for Hitchcock,
Yes,
they
yeah,
just
I
all look like
remember.
Trixie.
So what does this smudge look like to you? It looks like Trixie. I mean, you can probably deduce a lot of information about me based on my reactions to those images.
Hmm?
Everything looks like Trixie. So, do you think? So this card says like Changeling Frenzy you play can't be cancelled,
Mm-hmm.
and as we know, only Chrysalis can do that at the moment. maybe the set has other cancel effects.
That would certainly be possible. Um, it would be a little strange to write in a piece of text that, yeah, only applies against one particular other main.
Mm-hmm.
So it certainly hints that there may be other cancellation type abilities. Like generally, those have been pretty used pretty sparingly,
Yes,
but
and they usually weren't that good. Like Chrysalis was the only one that really saw any use, and we sometimes saw Wake Up Call, but it was like in a very specific
right.
scenario.
And so just so that I'm clear on how this would work, if you're playing something into Chrysalis's ability, she tries to tax you, you say no, I'm not going to pay the ability, and then your friend just processes anyway, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty sure that's how it works because you can't cancel it, so you just ignore that part of the text.
All right. Um,
Uh, we didn't talk about the keyword at all.
yeah, fair point.
This keyword reminds me of studios because it's like only one of them works.
hmm Yeah, this is well, this would be pretty good if it was not like that. Well, I guess kind of depends on how many eager friends there are in the set, but
I would like to draw 5 cards at the start of my turn.
maybe a little much.
Maybe later on we'll get a Thorax plus Pharnix combo. Thorax gives everyone Eager, and Pharnix makes Eager stack.
Like Twilight or Starlight and Sunburst.
Yes.
Eh, but yeah,
But yeah,
it sorry.
even drawing 1 card is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You are likely going to have uh, friends come to home at some point in the course of the game, similar to what we were talking about with Cadence. You don't necessarily play it to home exactly, and it's a nice kind of little piece of value. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I get to draw another card. Now, one thing notably that you're going to have to remember: it is a May trigger. If you forget about it,
Yeah.
then no card for you. But well, I mean that's something that
What
you.
one interesting thing about, well, that like this card you kind of want to have it at home anyway. Like once it's at home, you can just keep it there, right? Because the ability is passive, so to say. Like
Mhm.
it just affects other cards. It doesn't need to be anywhere. But one interesting thing I wanted to say, since it's at the start of your turn trigger, right? You can weave it between your meticulous triggers. Like you can look at a card with meticulous or like meticulous 2, maybe draw it and then use meticulous again if you have another one.
Good point. Wrong colors for Meticulous, generally speaking.
There are no wrong colors. Just play 3 colors.
Fair enough.
Like
Yeah,
if Big
it's
Bully could be used with like blue ember, this for sure can be used with purple.
you got me there. That's a fair point. And yeah, that is a really cool interaction. You get potentially a lot more value like, well, having a giant stack of Meticulous one triggers or something that was happened more often in Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this card is Adventure legal, and
Yeah.
get a lot more value out of it.
Also, there is a purple changeling in the game.
This is true.
Yeah, it's Trixie.
Also, technically not wrong, I guess. Changelings are as they are.
And actually synergizes really well with this ability because she will get +1 power. And then she has free power, which is really good because she doubles her power. Like the more initial power you have, the better.
Oh, you're
Either
talking
way,
about that purple
yes,
changeling.
it's
Oh
very rare.
shoot.
It's a changeling.
I like there is a purple Ocellus though, right? That's what I thought of right away.
Who cares about the cells?
But yes, you're talking about that purple Trixie.
Talking about purple dragon. What else would I talk about?
It's almost as if I haven't been streaming with you for this long.
Yeah. Like, come on. It's been years.
Okay. And then yes, then we moved on to the problems. So started with the first. Well, yeah, the first time we've ever seen this particular kind of construction on a problem. A not color plus wild. So a problem that is kind of specifically geared for any color except orange, basically.
With an
Um,
orange ability in it.
with what certainly appears to be an orange ability. So 4 not orange, 2 wild, bonus 2, 7 wild to the opponent. So in any color other than orange, it's 6 wild, 7 wild, but one that has the problems. And then when an opponent discards a card for the first time each turn, they discard another random card. Absolutely a like orange is the color that has all of the well, not all of them, but a good number of stuff that makes the opponent discard stuff. And it is a puzzle. Okay, well, I mean, you really want to play this in your orange deck, but how do you like 4 not orange is a quite a significant amount of power that needs to be there to confront
Yeah.
it. So
Like, okay, so is this card really that different from? I don't remember the card's name, but in Adventure we have there was a 4 orange for purple card that made you flip an extra card during face-offs. Is it really that different from this? Like 4 not orange is basically 4 of any other color. So as long as your deck is multicolored, you should be fine. As long as you think you can reliably get 4 other
mhm,
color.
right, which
And
well,
like if your main is not orange, that's quite easy.
yeah, I guess so. So yeah, in any deck that uses a non-orange main with a significant orange, or well, not necessarily even a significantly orange, just orange discard stuff in its
Hmm.
secondary color. Yeah, I could see that working. Um,
So like it's not that different from you running a card in an off color, which requires 4 of that off color.
yeah,
Except this time it's not locked into one color, which could be like it's better for decks that run more than 2 colors, because like having 4 of a specific color in a deck that like runs 3 or 4 colors is hard. It's harder than having like not of that color.
mhm, yeah. My first thought is chrysalis orange actually, because this with burnt oak is just crazy. Play a
Yeah.
card, discard 2 cards, and you're trying to get to 3. Uh, like that actually would just drain your opponent's entire hand.
Yeah. But you would need to get this specific purple,
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
which is like not impossible with Discord, but unlikely.
It's not it's not exactly new news for a white deck to appreciate specific problems.
I don't know what you're referring to. So when do we reprint Blackmail?
Uh, well, this set presumably it's called Fond Memories.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Probably not.
Yeah. No, yes, I think you're right. I
uh,
have very fond memories of Blackmail.
I, you and me both. And then the other problem that we saw, you making use of the old Premier Block construction, 2 pink and 2 not pink, 2 bonus, 5 wild. If this problem would be replaced and isn't a dilemma, put it into play as a dilemma. instead of putting it on the bottom of its own problem deck. Hi, Bugle, by the way. Yeah. So pretty interesting. The main what am I gonna say? Constraint of the color plus not color instruction is that you always are going to require at least two characters to confront it.
Mm-hmm.
One character can never confront a problem like this. Um, Now, two and
Yes.
two, still relatively easy to do. That's going to be two characters most of the time, which makes it a relatively easy to confront two bonus problem. Quite good for aggro. In particular, given that it sticks around and guarantees two bonus for the next face off.
Yeah, like the text is also quite good for aggro. Okay, Bugle points out that you can confront this problem with one character using, or zero characters even, I think, using Ponyville Banner. Does it
Um,
not require all three? Oh, you can have a single card with all
yes,
three traits. Yes,
yeah,
with a single character
same
or
way
friend rather.
exactly. Um, yeah, but
But yeah, this
sorry,
looks
go ahead.
very Premiere to me. Except like it'll be even more Premiere if the effect was symmetric somehow.
Well, it kind of is, given that
That's true. That's true.
after the DFO, your opponent does get first crack at this guaranteed two bonus.
Yeah. So it's not really good against other aggro, I suppose. Because yeah, they now have this bonus 2 and 5 wild. Uh,
Yeah,
but really good against control.
really good against control. Guarantees that your opponent, like, presumably their troublemakers just went away because you DFO'd, and now they have three problems to defend, which is hard
Yeah.
enough at the best of times. You might have another dilemma in your hand. Who knows? Yeah. So, well, I guess you don't sideboard problems, but
Nope.
a very interesting situational problem. Kind of depends, I guess, on what you think the meta is going to look like.
Uh, yeah, like you can even have it as a one-off, even if you think you'll encounter aggro decks.
Hmm.
Like it's just more unlikely you'll have it. But like since it's pink, you could have something like Discord
True. Pink
in
is the
your
color that
decks.
has the most control over its problem deck.
Mm-hmm.
So, makes sense there. Okay. Right, and then next, yes, this is the I don't want to say template. Prototype ultra rare. Saw during the stream. 1/2 punch, blue pink, 3 cost, 3 rec, 3
Griffin.
power. Griffin, yes. Hasty, competitive one, eccentric one, and if an opposing friend was frightened or dismissed this turn, you may pay 3 AT less, i.e. 0, to play this card. Now, the only hasty eccentric we had before was Skystar, right?
Yes. Think so. Are you thinking of using this as a control tool?
Well, it's significantly worse than that, clearly, being only eccentric 1. Oh, yes, good point. Thank you, Bugle. The Sunset, that was 4/4 Rex. Eccentric X, that was hasty as well. Good point.
Don't remember that card.
Was that Leaders and Legends? Might have
Okay, let
been.
me look it up.
Yeah. Also, this card significantly worse for control than that, given, yes, only eccentric 1. But we were just mentioning when we talked about the last Griffin that Griffins really like to enter play, uh, you know, and they also like cheap stuff. This card theory synergizes really well with the Last Griffin if played for free at a problem where nothing else was there before. Does have that requirement that you need to frighten or dismiss stuff.
which both blue and pink do really well.
hmm Griffins actually are good at that. Play a Griffin, have a stop fighting in your discard pile anyway, frighten a thing, and now um, play this one for free.
Yeah. Also, one thing to point out: you don't like. It doesn't have to be you who frightens the card or
hmm
dismisses the card. Like if
hmm
they have a bunyip
Yep, Bunyip.
and they frighten it, that works as well.
Good point. Unfortunately, you can't. You couldn't use the eccentric to stop the confront because they must have confronted to frighten the Bunyip.
Yeah,
But you could put in the competitive for a face-off.
yeah, and like with the other blue pink card we saw earlier, might as well move a thing if there's nothing else at the problem.
hmm And yeah, as kind of Bugle tells us in the chat, there's if you have multiple of these in your hand, they all cost 0. They all care about the same trigger.
Yeah,
And there's no
like it's
limitation.
not a yeah, it's not even a trigger. It's just a statement. Like, oh,
Mhm.
if that thing happened this turn, then this.
How many copies of this is Hot
I
Wings
think
run?
6. Yeah, the Eagle sets. Yeah. Just as many copies as you have singing barrels in your deck.
Pretty much, yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
I don't think competitive and the eccentric are as relevant. Well, I guess competitive can be relevant sometimes. Like eccentric, it's nice to have, but I don't think you'll build around eccentric on this card.
Right. It is being a hasty 0 cost 3 power Griffin
Yeah.
that makes it really good.
In fact, eccentric could actually be bad on this card if you want to try to force a single face off. Because like you could end up in a situation where you want this card to be in play when they confront, but if you play this card,
They're not
like to
confronting.
confront
Yeah.
yourself, yeah, they're not confronting anymore. So it's kind of anti-chicken. Or maybe that's what you're going for. I don't know.
Yeah. I must say that for an ultra rare, the text is a little bit. Oh, there it is. Anyway, I'll finish the statement. For an ultra rare, the text feels a little bit vanilla, almost like they're I've gotten used to ultra rares doing weird and wacky and crazy stuff. But
Okay, hold on. I have a good counterpoint, alright?
okay, fair enough.
The set is called Fond Memories.
Yes.
I present to you full steam a rare card from Premier, which is doesn't have any text. It's a 4 orange entry, 4 power orange entry.
Fair enough. All right. DP left us. I had a feeling he was going to drop something. It's spoiler season. So we're just going to wait until we get to the end of everything else, and then I'm going to open that.
Yeah, I don't think that card is fair, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, again, Premier had pretty vanilla ultra rares. I think, like some of them were really good, but some of them were also like pretty basic.
hmm
And I think this one, I don't think it's that vanilla to be honest. Like it has 3 keywords and it has like a quite interesting text on top of that. Like if you look at what's his name, Flash Magnus, right, from Friends
Friends
Forever, it
forever.
was right.
Yes.
Like it's also like a couple of keywords and an ability. So like, but I wouldn't consider Flash Magnus being a vanilla card, like vanilla kind of card.
Yeah. No, it has good synergy that turns it into a really interesting card.
Yeah. Beagle points out One Winged Wonder, which is also like an ultra rare with a single ability, really good ability, but like just one ability. Like I don't really agree that this is feels vanillish.
Right. Well, I guess what I'm kind of trying to say, I guess, is that it is it has the feeling a little bit of um, Portal in that it's a relatively simple ability that's probably really good, which is good,
Yeah,
elegant. If you can craft a really powerful card in the fewest words possible, then that's good design, I think.
yeah,
Okay, right, and then this was the card that we saw just yesterday. Yes, just yesterday. Um, what matters? Cost 2 orange rec, 2 orange power, with immediate speed. During a face-off, retire it to flip an additional card, and then immediate speed, banish it from your discard pile to flip another additional card. Um, so that's a lot of flips. Uh, Flipping 2 additional
yeah.
cards in a face-off, in theory, up to 2 additional cards.
Hold on.
Usually, if the face-off is at all close, one is enough. One extra card's
Yeah,
enough, and then you've got this card in your discard pile as needed for later.
I would like to interject in the chat for a moment.
Okay.
Beagle says this is the first, like the previous card we saw was the first card with free keywords, but I'm not sure that's correct. I think we had a card with free keywords in New Dawn.
Oh,
There
feel wrong
was
about a past card.
yes, there was a blue orange card with free keywords like traveler, competitive, or something else.
That is correct. The Smolder. Traveler competitive diligent, I think.
Maybe I don't remember. I just remember it had a bunch of keywords. Like yeah, I remember that card because it was like I think its playtest name was like a bunch of keywords or something like that. Like that was the idea behind that card.
Mhm.
Either way, back to this card. This card gives me like it's kind of a new theme for Orange, right? Do something when you retire this card, and do something from the discard pile, and that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I
And,
guess that was Golden Parachute.
yes, and we also had the card in Defenders, which is Applejack and Big Mac,
Yeah,
where they would add a counter when you retire them and add another counter if you banish them. And I think it's a really cool theme. Or like it's a new theme. I don't think anything before Defenders. We didn't really see anything like that before Defenders, but
right. Well, Orange, like clearing out its own discard pile was like, when did that start? It started in like High Magic, right? Was the like which set was Zap Apples printed in? Is that High Magic or
yeah,
March?
it is High Magic.
Yeah. So that was like the first inkling of this. But yes, the double activated ability of sorts that started in Defenders.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I like this kinds of cards. I like that the Orange has like this new theme, this new cycle, so to say. Not cycle, but like
Right. New
a
sort of
feature.
mechanical feature, yeah.
Yes. And flips. I honestly think it's better to discard this card than to play it. Orange has a bunch of ways of doing so anyway.
hmm Orange does like to have discard fuel.
So yeah, could be useful as a like face-off trick. In even in control decks, right? You want to protect your troublemaker, and you know you have this card in your discard pile, and that's your extra. Of course, it's proactive, like your opponent knows that it's there, but they might forget. People forget about eccentric all the time,
Yeah.
and like people forget about gold. I forget about golden parachute all the time. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna remove this thing. Like this thing has been annoying me for forever. Time to use my removal, and it's like, nope, golden parachute.
Nope, I discarded a golden parachute like 10 turns ago.
Yeah. Yeah, remember when I played that mysterious disappearance to banish your stick? Yeah, one of the cards I discarded was Golden Parachute.
Oh, yeah. So, cool card.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just quickly.
Why are you getting showered with Celestias?
Oh, sorry. What? I hadn't looked at. Oh,
It is a Celestia.
Grandpa's heard that I was disappointed that I didn't get to spoil a Celestia, and yeah. Let me see. Quickly, can I relatively? So I'm just going to very quickly set up a slide with this. Card 138. Okay, there we are. Now, this is actually my first time reading the card. Cost 1, 5 power. Resource. Report. We haven't had a report resource in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, fond memories, right?
I guess so. Goes on a problem, which that's what report resources do. When a player confronts that problem, you may exhaust this card to draw a card. Very simple.
Yep.
Metric.
Yeah, not really. You're the one drawing card.
Well, yes. When any player confronts that problem.
Like, I think it'll be much worse if it didn't say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, it does have a bit of a premiere block kind of feel to it.
Yeah. I mean, no, if it was Premiere block, it would retire itself. Like,
Fair
retire
point.
this card
Yeah.
to draw a card.
Oh, that's right, Bugles. Thank you. Stained Glass Tribute was a report. Right. So in fact, it's only been one set since we had the last one, but still, somewhat rare trait.
Yeah.
Um, so one cost goes on a problem. You would want to put this on like in a in a control deck, presumably, on a problem that's going to be confronted for a while without a face-off happening on it.
Yeah, because, like, if you use this ability only once, you kind of, like, you just paid 1 AT to do nothing, because you spent a card to draw a card, and you also spent 1 AT on top of that.
Yeah, you should have just spent the AT to draw the card in the first place.
Yeah. So, like, to even get back the value, you need to draw at least 2 cards. And given that this problem exhausts, this report exhausts itself when you draw it, which, I mean, makes sense. Why would it do that? But it means, like, if you confront the problem and then your opponent confronts the problem next turn, you still draw only 1 card from that. So this report
Unless
really.
you ready the resource with Celestia Equestrian Leader. Hey, no,
Hey,
still not worth it. Fond memories, right? Anyway,
Celestia.deck.
there are no fond memories of that card.
So yeah,
Oh, that's it. Yeah, and it doesn't even work anyway. Yeah, fair enough. Go ahead.
yeah, like this card suffers from the thing that all of the reports suffer, right? They don't stick around
Mhm.
after the problem is replaced. But oh well. Actually, one sec.
Okay.
Did that pink card said that, like, it's. Oh, so the pink card is a replacement modifier that if the problem would be replaced, you put it into play as a dilemma instead.
Oh,
So since it's a replacement modifier, I don't think it will actually be replaced.
would make sense.
So
So,
I think this report will stay on that problem when that problem. So yeah, there's your synergy right there. You
right.
played on that card.
And stained glass tribute sticks to the problem it was played on. So like it would stay with the problem that you play it on, not on that
No,
problem's
because you
deck.
banish the problem.
Oh, I see. Sure. Right. But this card would stick to that problem because it didn't get replaced.
Yes, because that like it's because of that particular problem's wording.
Interesting.
Which I think, like, now that I think about this wording of the problem, it says like you put it into play as a dilemma, but it's like the problem never left play; it was already in play. What does it mean to put it into play? So I know, but that's why it's a playtest card.
Fair enough. And GP is even still here. That has a limited focus, by the way. Okay. Um, I mean that kind of makes sense.
I don't know if this card is that good and limited, but I mean it doesn't have a rack, so like you would like to have it in your deck if you
Yeah.
don't have
Five
any
flip,
other
one
cards.
cost, wreck it. It's a
Yeah, it's like
classic limited filler.
filler. Yeah,
Anyway, yeah. Cool card. This kind of makes up for it. GP. Thank you.
I think my favorite part about the card is the flavoring because it's a trigger when someone confronts a problem. So like Dear Princess Celestia, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the card you're getting is like the letter.
maybe I don't know. I guess so. Yeah,
Anyway.
like you play it on a problem, and then when you confront that problem, you write a letter and you get the card.
Hmm.
You, the player, are Celestia. Yeah, yeah, because it's when the player confronts a problem, it doesn't have to be you who confronts it. So yeah, I
Right.
think Bugle is on the right track here. Either way, cool flavor. That's what I wanted to say. Like it's the flavoring really works well with the effect.
Absolutely. And that is all of them. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I mentioned to Hipthrock, by the way, before the stream, that here we are in spoiler season, which means easy content, but also longer streams. Here we are, 90 minutes.
Yeah, 1 hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Are
It's
you ready
fine.
for another 10-hour set review at the end of all this?
Like, is it like geometrical progression? We'll have the double the
I
stream length every set.
I have no idea.
Because last one was only 5 hours, right? Maybe 6,
It was it was
or maybe it was 7.
it was much longer than it had any right to be. That's all I remember.
Nah, I'm ready. It's gonna be as long, but I am ready.
Well, now's the time to get prepared anyway. So,
Hey, prepared.
uh,
Do you get 180?
I sat through a 6-hour set review stream and all I got was this lousy action token.
Should have been more prepared.
Okay, yes. So, thank you all for coming out and being with us for this stream. Want to catch any of our previous content or this one, come Monday. It'll be over on YouTube. I just put the link down in chat. While there, consider giving us a subscription or something similar. We're a long ways off of 100 and the sort of proper channel URL, but who knows? Maybe we'll get there someday. Um,
Yep.
Otherwise, 2 weeks time. Well, we'll see if we have spoilers to talk about or if uh, maybe open beta has happened and we'll be able to start just cherry picking.
Yeah, just pick a card and like talk, or like a set of cards and like talk about them.
Hmm, or something else. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, until then, I have been Cursor Chords,
I've been Hifrock.
and we'll see you in a fortnight.
Bye.